Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Contractor Radio. My name is Jim Johnson, your host here at Contractor Radio and the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro, where we help contractors get control of their business so they can grow their business and find personal and financial freedom. I'm pretty excited about our guest today. I did not know this guy. I understand we're friends on Facebook, and I see some stuff here and there. But he was referred to me by a guest that we had on not too long ago, and he was described as a commercial claims expert. So if you're not an insurance restoration contractor, might not be the show for you. But if you do work on people's homes, you might pay attention because this guy's going to bring some A game here when it comes to what we do and how we do it. When it comes to the claims process and who you might involve and who you might not involve. Uh, if you're looking for somebody to help you with your business as far as growing and scaling it, check us out here at Contractor Coach Pro. You can go to contractorcoachpro.com and click on the assessment button, take a quick assessment. Take you about 15, 20 minutes. From that assessment, we'll do a free coaching call with you. No, not a sales pitch, an actual coaching call. We'll hop on with you for about an hour, and we'll go over the 2 or 3 things that we see from your assessment that would move the needle for you in growing your business. If you like coaching, great. We would love to have you as a client. If you don't, at least we served you well that day and helped you move a little bit more forward in your business and in your life. So my special guest today, like we got to talk for a few minutes before we got started. He actually thought we were doing the show. It was already good. I hope he brings that game whenever we do this. His name is Zack Baker. He is a founder and principal at the David Group, and he knows a lot about commercial claims. And he's kind of one of those guys that flies under the radar and kind of likes it that way, but he's being pushed out there a little bit by his buddy. So, Zack, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, like this is going to be really good because, like, I know you probably aren't a huge fan of doing this kind of stuff, but you're really good at it. Our talking earlier, I was like, "Hey, this is going to be a great show." So let's do a good job for everybody here.
Let's do it, baby.
Described as a commercial claims expert, we're going to get there, but can you give us a little history and background? Like, how did you get kind of a title with what you do, and where'd you come from?
So I'm originally from Chicago area. Okay, my levels all right? You hear me all right?
Yeah, you're great. Yeah.
All right, good. So I started prior to this, almost 15 years ago now. I was a partner at a real estate redevelopment firm in Illinois. We did mixed use projects. I was the guy on site. I am proficient in all the trades. I was actually at one point an electrician. I've worked extensively with old hardwood floors, like anything you can think of on a conversion mixed use project, commercial mixed use project I've done.
Wow, somebody that is like a commercial claims expert that's actually like contractor background, that's unusual.
Yeah, man. And literally did and became proficient at every single trade in some of the most difficult ways. And I had a buddy of mine call me who owned a roofing company, and he just kind of gotten into the insurance side of it. And he says, "Hey, man, but he's not a social guy. He's a contractor, not good at talking." He said, "I would really love you here. I have an engineering firm on this adjustment. It was a big Victorian in Rockford, Illinois." He said, I need somebody here who knows what I do, knows the trades, but can talk and kind of convince somebody." This, okay. And I met my buddy, who would become my friend, Chris, who at the time worked for Donut Engineering. And by the end, I scaled the roof. Of this thing like a madman without cougar paws or anything on, because they didn't know they existed. I had roofing boots. And took about 3 dozen pictures, brought them down to him, and told him every reason why I was wrong from a technical standpoint when it comes to roofing and the construction of the home and everything else, and the period of the build and everything else. And he said, "Well, I feel like an asshole." I said, "Well, you kind of are." And we left, and I said, "I don't know how you're going to deny this with everything I just went over." I didn't know anything about the claims process. This was like 16 years ago. He called me back 15 minutes later and goes, "Hey, you want a part-time job?" He said, "But you've got to do the opposite of what you did today." So I spent 2 years doing contract work for Chris, for Donut Engineering, helping
We're done.
them.
Hey, we're done.
Yeah,
Can't talk
there you go.
anymore.
Yep. Helping them adjust claims. I'll just put it that way for legal purposes. And then had a crisis of a conflict of character issue with some of the practices and left, and may or may not have been blackballed at that moment. I left.
I can live with that black ball.
Yep. Yeah, I could as well. And that second year I was actually doing it, working with them, I actually started doing sales for a roofing company. I was kind of playing both sides at once. And then fully came to the other side. And in 2013, I became a PA.
In Chicago?
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
I did a lot of commercial claims work in both Chicago and Rockford. Um, I live in Tennessee now, but up until about 4 or 5 years ago, at least half, if not more, of the commercial roofing insurance projects I was the PA on. That's not an exaggeration. Um, Worked with all the biggest developers there as well. Still work with a number of them. But while I was becoming a public adjuster, I kind of started noticing I can talk, I can do this, I can argue, I'm learning policy, I'm doing all these things, I'm doing these continuing ed classes. I know about the building material and the building side of this, but I feel like I'm lacking in some of this knowledge. So there was a gentleman who, and I don't know if he wants me to mention him, so I won't, but he left MKA, Madsen Knepper and Associates, who's a huge, predominantly carrier-sided consulting firm. He left them and was doing his own thing before he retired. I shadowed under him on and off, just in my free time, basically carrying his tools, doing core analysis for him, collecting samples, everything for about 2 years on and off, just to learn. He was a registered roof consultant, just to learn everything I could from him, and he was brilliant. Um, in addition to that, worked with other engineers. I've worked with lawyers prior to this a lot in the real estate world, and then work with a lot of lawyers now. Spend a lot of time with attorneys now. So it's just I'm one of those people where I'm constantly throwing myself into situations where I can learn more. And if somebody asks me something and I don't know the answer or I don't know the solution, I will find it, even if it has to be done with somebody else in another setting. So
That's a pretty cool story. It is from like being a project manager. It sounds like kind of the start of it,
yeah,
electrician, learning the trades and like performing the work, and then slowly but surely gravitating over here to the dark side, and
I
then
was
coming
working
back to the
90
light
hours a
side
week
again.
back then. To be clear, 90 hours a week when I was doing that work.
Wow,
Because
that's pretty
I
wild.
was managing units, multifamily units of historic buildings, and I was in charge of all the maintenance, and I was the site guy. So I was literally working like 90 hours a week for about 3 and a
That
half
doesn't
years.
sound like a lot of fun.
No, it was horrible. That was when I used to drink. Yep, yep.
So we've moved into this uh, public adjuster realm, this and especially in the commercial world, and you learned from some of the best along the way. What is it that drives you craziest about the self-proclaimed commercial experts? Because they're everywhere, and you can't. It's kind of like a contracting coach. You can't shake a dead cat without hitting one.
Yeah.
And this was, 10 years ago, there was nothing like it, and we started this thing, and now they're everywhere. Do you feel kind of the same way on the commercial claim side of things?
This is such a long conversation.
Oh,
So
it's okay. We are on a podcast. We got time.
it's multifaceted. It is the PA side, the appraiser side, the umpire side, the attorney side, the roofer side. There are, and this could sound horrible, the majority of people that are in this business, and I think as like a child, remember you hear like about attorneys and doctors, and you go, they're all geniuses, right? Because that's what you think, and then you meet them, and you go, half of you are fucking idiots. Like, what do you? So like they're human. It's a human thing. By definition, great people are above average. So you have great, average is the majority, and then crap, and it's no different with our industry, right? Except everybody claims to be the best and the best and the best. And I've never claimed to be the best.
Yeah, like
Technically,
you
am
did
I an
not
expert?
call yourself that.
No.
Somebody else called you that, which that was a big reason why I had you on. You didn't come to me and say, "Hey, I'm the commercial claims expert or the roof guru or any of that kind of stuff." Somebody else said that about you, which gives it way more credibility.
That makes me really uncomfortable, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, the PA side, I have in the almost 15 years I have been in this industry, which is not long, but I think it's long enough to know enough. With the probably 1,000 plus, couple thousand maybe projects I've been involved in some way. Okay, the number of bad public adjusters I have seen way outweighs the good ones. From I mean, people that are just not qualified, people that
You mean
straight
when you pass that test, it doesn't qualify you?
oh my god, man, and people that just all they want to do is grow, 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 like they're a Fortune 500 company. And I remember one guy specifically, won't say who had like 40 PAs working for him, and he was about to become a producer and all this stuff. And then it came out that, and the only reason I found out about this before everybody else is because I had a buddy of mine who is still involved. He's an IA, who we were trying to form a small underwriting company. We pitched it to a couple carriers, me from the plaintiff side, him from the carrier side, a couple other people. We're gonna do underwriting inspections specifically for carriers, and all their answers are basically like, "Nah, we'd rather collect premiums." And then, once once they file a claim, tell them no damage, non-renew, and that will anyway. Um, but I heard from him. He goes, "Hey, you know this guy?" I said, "Of course, we all do. I work with some of his people sometimes." He goes, "Stay away from him because these two carriers have been purposely paying his claims for 2 years because they're gonna charge him with fraud and RICO and all other kinds of
Ooh.
stuff." So it once you get on the radar for being a shithead, especially as a PA, dude, they are not gonna let it go. And that's why I tell everybody one of the top things that we do, I don't care if it's PA, I don't care if it's appraisal, I don't care if it's consulting, our entire approach, I'm not gonna say that our estimates are never a little high on things. Okay. Just like no carrier guy, Steve Badger, nobody else is never gonna tell me that the carrier's never a little low. Bullshit. Okay. But there's a science to that. There's a fine line that a lot of PAs and a lot of people, I see it all the time, will jump over it and they justify it with like this self-aggrandizing bullshit, like they're Marvel superheroes or they're Robin Hood or whatever it is. It's like, no, man. The way to handle this is to be above approach the entire time. Have a better work product, have your numbers be consistent, and not only that, have your work product in general and what you do be consistent for long periods of time. Because if
Mm.
you ever do become a legal expert, be prepared for that to be thrown in your face if you're not.
Do you get
If
to do some of that, be a legal expert?
yeah, I shy away from it somewhat, because
It's a lot of effort for little pay?
no, that's not really it. Honestly, it's because I talk a little bit too much when I'm deposed.
Ah, okay. Gotcha,
And
gotcha.
it can get I'm very good at not being confrontational with the opposing side, but carrier attorneys have a way of bringing that out in me. Because I'm somebody I have a lot of continuing ed and different things. I've had a lot of time in this. I think anybody that knows me knows I know what I'm talking about. Because if I don't, I'm going to find somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I'll get an expert, just like everybody should. But they like to bring up, I dropped out of college 3 times. And they love to bring out I don't have a college degree. I don't do this. Or I don't. And say everybody's talking about this, all the things you know, but you don't have a college degree. I go, no, I don't. You're not an engineer. No, I'm not. And it's like, well, look at my work. Look at the on an annual basis, the number of humongous claims that we come into where the carriers paid 30, 40 grand. And then
Mm,
it ends up being, or here's one recently we just got done with in Texas, in South Dallas, one of the biggest churches in Dallas. Okay. PA got in there, got his money, killing it, man. 140 grand in a big church, right? Year later, they've got leaks everywhere.
mm.
Either didn't look or didn't know what to look for on the TPO portion. Hammered, hammered. TPO damage, admittedly, is hard to find if you don't know what you're looking for. But don't take the project on, dude, or bring somebody that knows what they're talking about. We won after I was a PA on it, and the carrier admitted that the damage happened from the hail, but it wasn't damage. We admit that the markings come from hail. The cap sheet on the ISO was fractured, and there was even some fractures in the TPO. When I was at the adjustment, they brought an engineer with them, a consultant, another registered roof consultant, an adjuster, and another adjuster. I brought one.
Well, they didn't want to pay for that.
Yeah, I brought one PE with me, okay, just to have him there, so I didn't make any misstatements to the public adjuster. And I'll give you the short version of the story. The answer was, that's probably from where they dropped a drill during install. That's from a screwdriver. I said, okay. And I took a blade, a hook blade, and I cut up 3 squares of TPO. I said, let's flip it all over. Because they basically were trying to say that the random damage I found, I was on this roof prior to the adjustment for 9 hours almost. Because I was on my hands and knees. It's a huge roof, multiple elevations. Finding fractures in polyiso, finding any kind of indentations in the TPO, any kind of damage, anything I could find, okay? Hitting it all with wax. And then they basically are insinuating nobody would put that much work into this inspection. You caused the damage without saying it. Oh, okay. And I start cutting squares of TPO back because I already had a waiver from the church. I go, did I do all this too? And literally you pull it back and there's just random hits in the polyiso. The cap sheet's fractured everywhere, a little bit of damage here and there that they were trying to say was. And their answer to that was, okay, it has no impact on the functionality, even though I had brought with me, I knew they were going to say this, I brought with me a report from another individual who's considered to be an expert in the field and an installer guide basically showing why it's damaged and why it actually depreciates the value of the system. And their answer months later was basically, we're admitting that is from hail, but it's technically not damage. I said, okay, let's go to appraisal then. We'll just go to appraisal. We went to appraisal, and the award with a carrier, the umpire was a carrier guy, a fair guy, but a carrier guy. And he goes, and the whole time, to be fair, the carrier's appraiser is not playing the same game that my guy is. It's very clear that he's getting coached. There's this, that. He agreed to 7 different things at 7 different times. I don't know if he's being coached by the attorney or by the carrier. I probably would think the carrier, by the way he was responding, to be honest. I could be wrong. And in the end, we get a $1.9 million award signed.
Wow.
This is something we do all the time. And we don't talk about it because I told you this before we started. I don't like flying too close to the sun. I'm not some magician. I'm not some guru. It takes work, man. It takes the right people. It takes a team. It takes the right situation, right? And a law firm of somebody we mentioned earlier who was on the opposing side, who their owner is kind of a controversial, or the lead partner is kind of a controversial person. I don't think he's that controversial. I think he just does his job. And actually, I like when he talks at things like the plan committee.
Yeah, he's good at what he does.
Dude, I love hearing him. And we're talking about Badger. I actually love hearing Steve talk because I disagree with like 40% of what he says, but it's so revealing. It's so revealing hearing him talk about things because I can kind of smell then like what you already suspect is happening from being in the field. You can see kind of, you do this often enough on a daily basis, you know what's coming down the pipe. Yeah. But when you hear him say it out loud, you go, I was right. That's the next new thing. But anyway, we negotiated out. One of his lawyers called and they said, hey man, I said, listen, I have authorization for this. He goes, I have authorization for this. We talked for about a month and a half and ended up being 1.7 in new money. Okay. Lump sum settlement.
That's awesome.
And it's something we do literally
the frustrating
all the time.
Part to me is it had to go through all of that for a church to be taken care of. Had to go through all of that for an insurance company to finally say, yeah, we'll go ahead and take care of it. That's a reason that the professionals are out there. It's just, I have my own opinions about PAs and attorneys and like everything else. There's good ones and bad ones, and the need for them, whether it's necessary or not. But if, like you said, if I'm not competent in something, I'm going to go find the best guy there possibly is out there and get him involved on that thing. I really hate interrupting these videos, but I've got some important information for you. If you haven't tried out Atlas Shingles, you should, because they put you first as a contractor. They want to give you a competitive advantage out in the field so that you can win more sales and be more profitable. Check out Atlas in your local area, find your local rep, get hooked up with them today, and start making more money tomorrow. So tell me a little bit about the David Group. What makes you guys different?
So
Besides you just being completely obsessed with making sure you just find what is there.
So that's kind of a two-sided coin here, lack of a better term. So what we do is the process. We get the claim, and as I said to you before the show, first thing we do is we review it for viability. Should this even be a
You
claim?
mean every claim you get isn't viable? That's weird.
Nope, it is not. And I would honestly say
it wasn't viable.
more than half of them are viable, but maybe like 40% aren't viable, as scary as that is that we review, honestly. Or ones that where I go that kind of make my skin crawl.
I always wonder how much time they have in it before that happens.
Okay, so here we'll jump off this little road and get back, right? There are people that are contractors that I love to death and I think are good people and can construction wise they're great, but they've been in this industry for a long time and they've learned very little when it comes to the claim side. Because for a long time it wasn't necessary. And now they're having an aneurysm because they have to get people involved. And they've met some bad PAs that are the Facebook famous guys that they feel like are dropping the ball, or lawyers that are famous that feel like are dropping the ball. And they come talk to me because they'll have another lawyer that say, talk to this guy, just talk to him. And they'll talk to me. I'll say, this is what we charge. It's less than most people would charge at our level. Okay. Or if it goes to this, I'll shrink the PA fee, or maybe it's whatever. And their response is, nah, man, we got it. Okay. And then they call me back 6 months later and they've fucked the whole thing up. That's honestly probably half of what we get. And I feel bad for these guys, but it's like, dude, it's not just you that's learning the hard lesson. It's the insured, because I know behind closed doors, you're telling them what to do. And even though you're not supposed to be, you're kind of giving them advice and you're giving them bad advice, and that's just the truth of the matter, man. Like that's ones we get where it's like, hey, we want to take it to appraisal now. Okay. Can I look at it like beforehand?
Yeah. I want to see that before we go to
You're going to be the appraiser.
Send us the SOL.
Yeah. Send us the documents. You're going to be the appraiser. No, we're going to have to, you are going through the process. We'll send you a claims questionnaire. You fill out the Google Doc, you turn in this, like, then I'll review it, man. Like, cause you're a friend, I will bump you towards the top of the list, but no is the answer. And there's ones where they didn't realize the estimate wasn't enough money until they built the job. What? What are you talking about? You have a company that does 20, 30 million a year. Come on, man. Well, just do it now. No, we can't just do it now the way you're talking about it and just puff up the estimate, dude, because now it's just based on your invoices and your actual cost. Because if they suspect that you're puffing the numbers for appraisal, they're going to go after you for fraud and misrepresentation because the job's done. Like the play would have been, do some temporary repairs, talk to me then, even if I'm not going to take it. If you think I'm too expensive or whatever else, God bless, or maybe I'll try and help you find somebody else. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's when you talk to us. I don't need every claim on the front end because there are plenty of guys that can probably, just meet an insurance company out there, not be a PA, just whatever. But when you run into a problem, and the thing I tell everybody is this, and I will give this secret away, okay? Get right now in 2023, the name of the game is just get coverage extended.
What? So be clear for everybody. Listen, not everybody out there is like at your level. What do you mean by that?
The days of guys in lifted trucks showing up, throwing a ladder up, meeting the big IAs out there, and puffing up and yelling, chalking, doing my squares, and just getting this shit replaced is gone in most states. It's gone. Okay. Maybe some residentials, but if you play in the big boys game, that shit's a wrap, buddy.
Yeah. So, it's millions of dollars.
Yeah, dude. And post-COVID, how emboldened with all the money insurance companies got post-COVID, we live in a system, and I'm a free market capitalist, baby. I'm a libertarian. I love guns. I love all the good stuff. Right. but I'll tell you this. But I'll tell you this in 2023, it's getting scary, man. You have multi-billion-dollar companies that are telling people to pound sand with no repercussions. Your elected officials aren't doing anything. So If you think just because you're Billy Badass, you're going to get this commercial claim approved, good luck, dude. Have fun. Don't go there thinking that you are going to conquer the world and get something approved right from the jump if it's a big
And be
claim.
very careful about what you say.
Yeah, dude. They're looking for people that are real confident, that are either acting as public adjusters. The big one last 2 years, practicing a law without a license. That's why I'm very careful about what I say. I'll say, hey, based on my personal experience or my experience as a public adjuster, or I can't give you legal advice, but this is what the lawyers I work with will often tell me. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the phrases I commonly use. And I'll even tell them, dude, listen, this is what we've done in the past that's worked, but let me introduce you to this attorney in this state, in this area. Let's get him on the phone. I could probably get him right now or 10 minutes from now. Let's get him on the call and talk, right? Just get coverage extended, guys. And you know what? And then be honest with you, there is enough natural disasters occurring, guys, that not every job that should be a repair needs to be a replacement. I'm sorry. That's going to piss people off. It's true. If you have one small area of TPO that's damaged, right? Fully adhered system, none of the rest of it's affected. It's got 2 layers of ISO. You moisture map it, and just that 710 square area is affected. There's no lift up. There's no nothing. You have an engineer look at it. If you go to get that replaced after that, you're a jackass because it's a repair.
My man.
It's a repair, dude. You know what I mean?
Do it right. It's not that hard.
Yeah, do the repair. And a lot of people, they see the one big job, they go, we gotta get it. I go, you know what's gonna really get that real estate developer, that whoever that is, that resource that's opening that door, that got you on that roof, you know what's really gonna impress them? If you say, hey, I know every other roofer told you this is a hail claim. It's not for these reasons. We had this guy we know who's an expert look at it and told us for these reasons it's not damaged. But there are these other areas that he found that are deteriorating rapidly, that have moisture intrusion from things that aren't claim related, that when they do an underwriting inspection, they're probably going to non-renew you. Okay.
And it's going to cost you less than your deductible to get it fixed.
And even if it costs a little bit more,
yeah.
Right? Here's the repair plan he put together. Yeah. He's a repair plan he put together for us. We'll charge you this for it. Done. And you know what? The next time, put it in your pipeline. Be organized enough to keep a big pipeline. And then the next time there's a storm in that area, call them, or they might even call you, or I don't know, develop a maintenance plan. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's just it's just not when lightning strikes. Everybody thinks this is whale hunting. If you become a skilled professional and your work product speaks for itself more than your mouth does, whales will pull up on shore all the time. You won't have to go hunting.
That was good. I like that a lot. They will come to you.
Yeah.
So review for validity. Like, so you look these files over that are sent to you. Like, what do they send you what you need in most cases?
So we have, and that, I'm sorry, I got off track again.
No, you're good.
And then we'll jump to the next part. We have a claims questionnaire submission that's a Google Doc form. A lot of times I'll have roofers or the PAs or somebody or lawyers call us and say, hey, here's what we're talking about. And I give way too much access to people, by the way. I have an office, I have all these people, but I give my cell phone to too many people. And they'll call me, and at 10 o'clock at night, and I'll go, I'll have Misty send you a claims questionnaire. Oh, okay, thanks. Click. I look at it, review for validity. And what it is it's like, I think 11 questions. And then there's a list of documents that you need to send in a separate email. You can also submit it on the portal on our website, which nobody does. I don't know why. They'd rather call me and text me things. And if you text me a document, a PDF, it's not going to be looked at.
Man, you and I are going to be good buddies.
So stupid. Anyway, I'll say, hey, when can we talk? If it's not complete garbage, I'll say, when can we talk? And if it's bad or if it's borderline, we'll talk. And I'll say, listen. And a lot of times when it comes to a claim, if it's borderline, I usually won't do it. I have some that are borderline. Not that the damage isn't there. It's just that whether we want to get involved. And if I feel like I have a client that's really passionate about her in a tough spot, maybe we'll take it then. And sometimes it's not even about. Sometimes it's more about that. Like I was telling you about that one I have with Big Red right now in Illinois. It's a residential case. It's like $1 million residential case. They gave him like
Nice
70
house.
grand, 70 grand. Yeah, it's old three-story Victorian, Central Illinois. And it's just the only reason I'm doing this is because somebody has to.
Mm.
All the lawyers are terrified to take it or too lazy. Nobody wants to touch it. I typically only do res if I can hand it to one of my guys that works with me sometimes, or if it's within an hour of my house and it's got teeth. Other than that, man, even those I shouldn't be taking them. It's just
But it's valid. That's the
yeah,
criteria. Like there's some
yeah.
validity to this, so let's go get it.
I do a lot of residential umpiring. To be fair,
Okay.
appraisal umpiring. But anyway, to go back to the process, what we do. So
it's valid. What's the next step?
the next step is I develop after review it and talk to them. I develop a plan. I call it a plan of attack. It's a strategy of what is the best way, the most cost efficient and time efficient way to proceed with the claim. Okay, it's just a suggestion, but it's kind of like, hey, if it's this benchmark, this is probably the way to go. If it's this benchmark, it's probably this way to go. Here's the expected time. Here's the expected cost. Here's what we charge. We do attorney-client matching. We do engineering referrals. We refer people to registered roof consultants. We incorporate those people into some of our claims. I do appraisal, umpire, and PA work. I have other people on my team that do most of the same things. I don't work on my team. I don't work with a lot of PAs. And we talked about this before. Most of the guys that I'll bring on to help me with stuff are IAs because they're less expensive. They're not as greedy because they actually work for a living. They're not looking to make $500,000 on one deal and hell or high water.
You mean they're not glorified salespeople that really don't know anything about the process?
Yes, they know what they're doing. They have all the experience. They have all the education. They're just better dudes to deal with, and they're reasonable, and I can trust their judgment. Right. So I always say one of the best things that we do is we don't put a square peg into a round hole. I have never in my life gotten involved in I did it once. That's where I learned this years ago.
One time is all it took.
It was because it was actually one, and this is where some of this started. I got involved in a PA claim and then realized halfway through, like, I don't need to be. And even though I had a lot of time and a lot of footwork in it, I actually shrunk my fee from 15 to 5%.
Ooh.
And it won. They won in court because of the attorney I brought them to, because of a lot of the facts I brought. But I didn't do shit, really, except for behind closed doors. I did more consulting. And 15% on something of that large, when the attorney didn't take it to jury trial, but it was filed and then settled before them for a good amount of money. You'd be stupid not to settle to go to jury trial. Me taking 15 points seemed like way too much. So I took 5 because of my time. And I did that for years behind closed doors where I was telling people what to do kind of or referring them to attorneys or planning with attorneys or doing this and doing these things or referring people everything else.
The attack plan.
Dude, all the time. And I'm like, this isn't paying my bills. Like I'm getting referrals from people on things, but I'm spending half my day being like it's social Susie over here. You know what I mean?
You're the facilitator that doesn't get paid.
Yeah, and that's why now this is the business they've turned it into. Where yes, we still handle a lot of this metaphorically, kind of in house, even though there's sub guys of ours or people on our team. But if not, there's plenty of times where coverage is denied. A PA is not going to get this overturned. Okay, you'll say, "Oh, you're not a good PA." Whatever, dude. And this needs an attorney for these reasons, and I'll refer him to an attorney. Maybe they'll use me as an expert. Maybe they won't. But I know you're going to the right place.
So I got a question for you because I just went through this with my own house. There's hailstorm, right? And funny enough, I had a sales guy that I trained in 24 years ago staying with me. He just happened to be there visiting. Hailstorm hits while he's there. We both, like, I'm up. Like, I'm out of bed, like, what's going on outside?
He's frothing at the mouth in bed.
He slept through it. He said, I heard it's just another hailstorm, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm out there taking video because it's my house. Like, I'm taking video. I'm picking up hail, taking pictures of it, doing what I know I'm supposed to do. And he wakes up in the morning, I show him, he's like, man, that's pretty good stuff. I said, yeah, nothing was really much bigger than, you know, a quarter, maybe a little bigger ping pong ball. But I mean, flying.
Sure.
It flew underneath a 20-foot patio cover and hit the top of my window.
So was it super dense as well?
Yes, hard as a rock. And so I call, make a claim. I went up on the roof. Sure enough, there's damage. It's obvious. Call, make a claim. The ones that like to talk about their hands a lot come out and say there's no damage. There's old damage. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is such a joke. So my friend, I know people now. And so I'm like, okay, hey, Derek over at Hail Trace, I hear you got this new technology that can tell me like what actually happened at my house, like what was specific at my home. So he says, yeah, I'll do it for you. I'll take care of it. He said, it's not priority, so I'm going to put it back a little bit, take a couple weeks. I'm like, cool, no big deal. Gets it back to me. And it's like this 26-page report from a meteorologist. And what actually happened, there was a microburst at my house, like in my little neighborhood. It was
hands down the best app. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the level of detail and criteria that they got me. And I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, the reason I'm telling you this story is I'm wondering, what should I do next? Should I get an attorney involved? Because that's usually my coaching advice. Just like, hey, skip all the steps, go to the attorney and just get it done. If they're any good, then they expedite. They don't take forever and all the other bull crap that attorneys do. Do I get a PA out here? Because I know some of them. I'm not the hugest fan of that whole process. Or should I get an umpire, like appraisal? Like, what should I do at this point? Any words of wisdom? Because I think there's a lot of guys, like even me, I feel like I'm pretty competent in this area. Like, how do I know when I should just go with appraisal and call it good? Or
are you in Texas?
Yeah, I'm in Texas.
And your daughter's a lawyer. So it's not like an attorney is going to cost you a lot of money.
No, not like that wouldn't have hurt me at all.
Based on what you're telling me, okay, just based on I don't want to get fried for anybody that sees this. Okay, based on what you're telling me, my personal opinion would be to get all the data from them, all communication done via email. Okay, ask them how they arrived to that conclusion that the hail was from a previous storm in writing. And then when they call you,
there was a storm date the year before.
Yep.
And I was there for it. No damage to my roof. They asked me if I took pictures. I'm like, why would I take pictures of a damaged roof? That's something I learned. I should have taken pictures.
Yes. Send them the storm data showing a microburst. Okay. And then see what they say. Maybe they'll do a reinspection.
I know. So we had a reinspection. Again, denied. I got that.
Double down. There we go.
Trace thing and sent it to him. Didn't hear from him for like a month.
Yeah.
Didn't get back. And I'm calling him like, hey, what's going on? The last 2 times it's been like, 2 days later, you got somebody out here going, no, you don't have damage.
I would take it to a supervisor, present all the data to them.
The story. They call me back one day and they go, well, we're going to go ahead and take care of it. I'm like, what? I was kind of hoping it was going to go to the dark side and like, let's follow it all the way through the path and let's see this happen. But man,
are you asking for your blood pressure to go up? That's what it sounds like.
No, I wanted to document the whole thing. And,
I got you for it.
And like put it on YouTube for people to see what you really go through with some of these insurance companies.
So imagine
MO. Like everybody with that insurance company gets that the first time out, no matter what.
There's an insurance company, okay, that has been consistently rated for about 10 years the worst consumer rated. Everybody knows who this is. They're blue, and they are So they are famous for that scenario. But I'll tell you this: if you get coverage extended by them just to repair, and then you put it into appraisal, they're one of the best residential companies they go against an appraisal if you have a decent policy. I swear to God. The guys they hire, because the guys they hire,
such a high percentage that they deny that's actually damaged.
And here's the thing: most of the appraisers they hire that do the residential appraisals for them know they're a piece of shit company because
Mm.
everybody knows. So they'll go, dude, just don't be a prick. Like if you are reasonable with them and go, hey, here's my number, go a little high, you know what I mean? And O&P, really there's a national precedent for it, but if it's just a roof, maybe work with them on the overhead and profit, you know what I mean, to be more of like maybe like a 5 and 5 or something like that. Like maybe find a way to make it work. Okay. And most of the time with them, when you're in appraisal, they're going to pay for it. So I mean,
that was going to be my next step.
But I'll tell you. But here's the thing. I would say this though. My instinct in the situation would be, in most states with most claims, especially residential. Okay, but residential doesn't have the teeth and the cost and the money associated with it that commercial claims do. Yet the process to recover is becoming just as burdensome, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you have a lot less knowledgeable people involved. When you have some of these bigger developers that we work with often, they know this. They know the game. They know some of it. They know enough. They know when people are full of shit. They've been burned maybe a few times, but they know the process. Somebody who their biggest asset they'll ever own, the best asset, is a single family home in a subdivision, they don't know.
I was sitting there through this whole process going, what if I wasn't me?
Yeah. And the worst,
like, how many people just go, okay, I trust my insurance company. I'm just okay.
And the problem is with it too, is that in most situations, when you have a denial of coverage, okay, I'd say half the time, let's say half the time, because I'm going to get fried by public adjusters out there. Half the time when it's denied, you just need an attorney. And you need an attorney that will give you a sliding scale agreement of some sort. Okay, one that will say, hey, we'll send a letter for this. Okay, see if we can get you some coverage extended. Like I said, 2023, name of the game, get coverage extended. Okay.
That something happened.
Yes, that something occurred.
I did. They covered my gutters.
There it is. So you have, yeah. So, and you know what though, at the same time, if you're somebody who has like cursory knowledge of this, like you do, and there's damage there, you should be able to get it done. And you did. Plus, your daughter's an attorney, so I'm sure she was willing to give you some.
She was chomping at the bit. She's like, "Give them to me." Like, just let me
the leash.
play this out. Let's see how it goes.
For sure, man. But most of the time, when you have a denial, if it's a complete denial, most of the time you need an attorney, or you need a PA who works enough with attorneys who's fair, who will say, "Hey, I have what's called often a sliding scale agreement on my public adjuster contract, where if it's just me, this is what we're going to cost you. Okay, if I have to get an appraiser involved or an attorney involved, this is what will cost you." Because if I can't get the job done, unless that's the tactic from day one, because that on some of these, I'm going to be honest with you, that's the tactic on some of these, and some of these guys that play that one lane, and that's why I said we don't put a square peg into a round hole. Oh, if you were good enough, you could have gotten it done. No, dum, you can't.
Like, I wish more PAs would say, you know what, this one ain't for me. This is for an attorney.
Well, and maybe it is for you in some respect, but maybe understand that there's a chance that it's not that there's going to be a limit to the depth you can take this, and you should be charging accordingly for that.
Right.
And that's what we do. I have them all the time where I say, hey, listen, if I'm going to charge this, but if it goes sooner, because I think I can get it done. But if I can't, and I know you really need an attorney, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to take 5 points off.
Yeah.
Whenever I do that, they call me, and it's for big commercial clients. I have never lost a big commercial client. 15.
Oh, here I am interrupting you again, but this is an important message you do not want to miss because it's about AI. AI in sales. Could you imagine having every sales call recorded, analyzed, tell you what's winning, share it with everybody else so they can start winning? Everybody's closing percentages go through the roof. If you haven't heard of Rilla Voice, you need to. Go check out Rilla today in the comments below.
That's impressive.
Period. Because that's the only ones that have ever been mad at the roofer that was involved and not me. And then they'll call me a year later, go, "You still working with that idiot?" And I go, "I'm my own company. Like, I'm not going to defame anybody, but I'm my own company. What's the problem? He sucks.
I don't work for any of these guys."
Okay, relax, dude. It's not me. You know what I mean? It's like, that's fine. I don't have anything bad to say about him, but I'm not going to defame somebody, but I can still help you. Yes.
So this plan of attack that you put, that's kind of an interesting approach, I think. What is that? Is it like, hey, this plan of attack, is it something that's fairly detailed? Like, hey, we're going to go this route, and if we go this route, this is what's going to happen, and this is who would be involved. Is it that detailed, or is it, hey, plan of attack, let's go with appraisal, or plan of attack, let's go with umpire?
I have to be careful.
That's okay. Hey, man. No,
I'll say this. It's very detailed. It is not legal advice that I am giving. It is.
If it was mine, this is what I would do.
It's a casual conversation from somebody that's asking based on my experience. And that is why that part of the process I don't charge for.
Gotcha.
I don't charge an hourly rate for any of this stuff on the front end. I don't start charging anybody unless they need me as a consultant, or unless we've decided, hey, this thing we've talked about that we all agree. And I'm not the person pulling the strings, I'm not the policy holder. And a lot of times it's the size of clients I have anyway. If they were to smell even a whiff of bullshit, they're going to go, yeah, okay, dude, no thanks. You know what I mean? That these are guys that are worth way more money than almost anybody in our industry usually. Okay. Truly. Maybe some like titans, but like most of them could not even compare to some of these guys. And you wouldn't know it by looking at them, honestly, but they know their business, and their business is bullshit. That's how they got this far, right? Is it navigating around it and pitching the best of it and being
not having any of it splatter on them?
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like they know. So I'll say, hey, I had a meeting today with somebody. I think they're a good sized company. They're actually really, I think, relatively large company. Roofer introduced me to him, and I said, hey, listen, I'm the appraiser. I have to stay objective in this. Hypothetically, this is what I would do. Personally, if it was my property, this is what I would do, and I would have him do this, and I'd have him do that, and I would have blah, 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 blah. That's just my 2 cents. That's just free conversation we're having. He goes, yeah, I think we should do that. Okay. You know,
right. Okay. Then we get to step 3, which is
great.
Execute.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Like that's some good insight. It's not something that residential claims and commercial claims are so different. They're just they're night and day. They really are, because of the dollar figure that's involved. Although, like you said, residential is getting tougher and tougher too. And I think a lot of it is because we're at fault. I mean, and when I say we, roofing contractors going out there and going after the crap that is crap, and like, hey, let's stick to what's damaged. Plant our flag there. Do things right. Have a good work product on it, and you'll have a lot more respect out there, because I know for a fact, and this is like, I have seen it. You're somebody out there calling BS on stuff, you start getting this little black spot on your name. You get a blacklisted, like, hey, this guy, every single claim we ever go out on with them, no.
Yeah.
And we're just putting up all these hurdles in front of us. Where do you think it's all headed? Because I don't think it's going to stay like this forever.
I think as somebody who's a big
there's a lot of people with their hand in the money pot, the money bag,
and I am one of those nutso libertarians. I was a big Ron Paul guy. Okay, actually,
man, we are.
I was real involved with the Ron Paul campaign.
I think politicians are complete idiots. That it's like, God, how can these be the 2 people that we're looking to vote for in president?
And I'm also a big fan of RFK Jr. I'm going to put that out there. I'm just going to put that out there, even though he's Democrat. I don't care. I like the man. He's done a lot of good work with litigation, environmental. Anyway. We are in. This is. I would love to be able to sit here and say it's every idiot PA. And say what Steve and some of these other guys will say all the time, like, they caused all this. Then how do you explain the same thing happening in every sector? I'm not saying these guys aren't making it worse or giving them cause in a sense. Okay. Look at the big three major automotive manufacturers. What some of their unions are going through right now. Like, and like I said, I'm a big libertarian, but like post-COVID especially, and I would hate to give any like far lefties like any kind of a victory when they talk about late stage capitalism, but we're hitting some of that in this country, man. The corporatism is out of control.
The separation. Right? The separation
or lack thereof. You have like 5 companies that own almost all of everything, and everybody's going like, I don't know why everything's out of control right now. Oh, I tell you, I can tell you exactly why. A few multi-billion-dollar companies own almost everything, dude.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of these theories and stuff like that. The federal government during the whole COVID thing pumped literally trillions of dollars into the economy. These smart guys that own these big companies are like, hey, how can we get all of that? What can we do to get as much of it as possible? And he just like built up all this huge wealth on the top, and all the people not at the top went, hey, I got all this extra money. I'm going to go spend it on stuff.
They got COVID. A lot of these bigger companies.
Did you see that too? Like,
yeah, they got COVID relief money. Okay. Some of these huge corporations got COVID relief money. Okay. They also, while getting that money and getting that aid, okay, laid off people across the country. Okay. Insurance companies specifically, I heard about it because I know somebody who's corporate counsel for one of them. I heard about it before it happened with a company that took a hard turn into denial field. Okay. And decided that their policy is just something completely different than what they thought it was for the last 50 years. Actually, we can deny every claim. We don't have to replace anything. He told me a couple months before, he goes, hey, heads up, shit's hitting the fan with so-and-so. I said, really? They go, oh, it's going to be bad. They're going to deny everything. And I said, that's interesting. And sure enough, it happened. Like, this is not, like I said, what do I think is going to happen? I know what's going to happen. The same thing that happened here in Tennessee. Okay. Tennessee is a state with reasonable uniform appearance. Okay. With some good law established by mostly one really good law firm in Tennessee has established a lot of the precedent here. They do a lot of good work. You have a couple of really good companies out here, PA firms, consulting firms, plaintiff sided, smaller guys. Okay. But then you have some bad actors here. You have some from outside the state that have come here, and they fucked it up for the rest of us. where now
small majority screws it up for the vast majority.
Yeah. You can't have assignments here. Okay. There's no assignment of claims. Okay. They just, what's going to happen is, and this is short-sighted stupidity by people that are highly motivated sellers. They don't realize that you don't have the morally superior position here on your high horse. Okay. And this is what I tell guys all the time too, especially guys that have been around for 20 years, 15 years, been doing this. The roofers, I tell them, hey, to get this claim done, it's probably going to 15% for this guy, $10,000 for this guy, $20,000 for this guy, this percentage for this guy. It's probably going to take you these 4 people to get it. I'm just telling you, it's a huge claim. Okay. Fuck that. Not doing it. Why? What's your margin going to be? 35%? Excuse me? You mean after? Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'll switch industries. Really? What are you gonna do? Manage a hedge fund, dum-dum? What are you talking about? Like, what are we talking about here, dude? And that's the thing, is that some of these guys, it's like, it's my right to make 50 or 60% net. Are you stupid? Do you think that's never gonna end, dude? Like, what are we talking about here? And that's why people come to me, and it's like, oh man, that claim, you made 10% of that. What did you really do? You want to read my log sheet? If I charged you my hourly rate for the 3 years I was involved in this file, I'd be getting more because of my office people I had, everybody I had involved, my travel time, my phone call time, everything involved with it. I did more than anybody involved in this entire claim. I worked easily 10 times the amount of time.
Yeah, okay? You're going to work on it for 3 weeks.
Yeah, and the contractors expect some of them, there's a lot of great contractors out there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Some of them expect a small percentage that they should make 3 to 6 times what I make. Well, I build it. I have the liability. Okay, cool. So I've got a guy who owned a company for 3 years, who's certified by everybody, who's bonded, insured, everything else. He could just build it.
So what are the insurance companies going to do to stop this? Because, I mean, they got to be talking about it.
Well, because here's the thing, though. There's the other side of this, too, that nobody's talking about, that I'm not even referencing. Okay? You have these residential roofing companies that they're walking a fine line, trying not to be acting as PAs. They're trying to act as attorneys, but they've been doing this a long time. And this is the other side of it that nobody talks about. Steve and a lot of guys don't talk about. Okay? You legitimately have the majority of roofing companies out there that are in this industry. If they do residential, they are making shit money nowadays. It's getting bad. And I'll tell you why. Because they know it's a $15,000, $23,000 claim, somewhere in that range. And they know most of the PAs are not great that are probably in their area. They don't know what to do. A lawyer's going to be too expensive. So they try to do it themselves. They have their people handle it. They have a normal roofing company that doesn't do this. Just so Steve and some other people can hear this. Okay. When you talk about O&P and all these other things and how much money you make on a job, I will stick up for them and say this. Okay. Normal roofing companies that don't do this stuff have half the staff. Easily half the staff because they don't have
to turn into a medical billing world,
dude. 100%, and that's the thing too. At the same time, where I always talk about net margins and a couple greedy people that I meet every once in a while. The majority of them are not those people. The majority of them are trying, especially the smaller residential companies, have been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years, and then it started getting tight a couple years ago during COVID, and now they're struggling. They're still doing volume, but it's hard. One, it's hard to find people that are salesmen that are willing to work and people are willing to work because work ethic, I don't want to sound like a boomer here, but has turned to shit post-COVID largely, right? And on top of that, the claims you get, if you have 50% of them going to appraisal, 25% dying and 25% either getting done or going to a lawyer, and you're paying for an office staff of 5, and then at the end,
time to money.
Yeah, and at the end, you want to go to the insured and say, hey, your $17,000 roof cost us $5,000 to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get them do the acquisition of the funds.
Yeah.
We can't eat that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can't keep operating that way.
No, it's going to get to a point where here's the thing that I don't know what's going to happen, but I will say this. I feel like, and I'm going to sound like a boomer once again, and I'm sorry for using this term, but I feel like largely the consumer has become a pussy in this country. It used to be if something pissed you off enough, you didn't just go, I'm upset. I'm going to eat cheeseburgers now. Now that's
my opinion on social media.
That's what everybody does. Scream into the endless abyss of Facebook. You know what I mean? And just forget about it because you have diabetes because you're a fat ass. Like it I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's true. It's like instead, like, right, congressman, do whatever you need to do to create waves if you're a consumer that's screwed. Because what's happening is that you have some of these companies now, because largely you have it's people that don't make a ton of money. The people that may be in an area where the median average household income is 65 grand and they make 70. Or they make 55, but they're a homeowner and they have the insurance that their mortgage company gave them, and it's bullshit insurance or a bullshit policy with a decent company, and they have a roofing surface and payment endorsement, which means that anytime hail, wind, or anything else happens, it's ACV only. So you're somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck on your worst days. On your best days, you maybe have $3,000 in the bank, okay, at best. And that's maybe you want to save that and actually go to vacation for the first time in 10 years, right? Yeah, it's crazy, okay? And then you have a claim where, and I'm talking about because it happens here in Tennessee all the time, in some of these Nashville suburbs, okay? You've got crappily built subdivision homes, okay, with people that are lucky enough to get into a mortgage when shit was going well economically. Okay, they have decent rates, but they don't make a ton of dough. They're normal people. Okay, they're not sitting there with a fat bank account, and then a claim happens, and it's a rough economic go of it right now. And for what everybody is saying is a $20,000 replacement or $18,000 replacement, they're getting 11 grand.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. This is what's occurring, and it's not just a contract.
Well, the house ain't going to lose when there's gambling involved.
It's everybody involved is going to lose except for the carrier, and it is.
I hate to break it to all the policyholders, they're not the one that's important. It's the shareholders.
Yeah, shareholder approval. I mean, the rate of and that's what it was with the one carrier we talked about. Year after year, they had like glowing reports from shareholders, and they're the number one rated amongst policyholders. You go, maybe the economic theory the Keynesian economic theory we're following here in this country, maybe it's not the best. That's a different conversation.
Man, I feel like I could talk to you about this all day, but we are at our time.
Sure.
Zach, this has been really good.
That's a blast, man.
enjoy the conversation. I have a feeling we could talk a little bit about because there's this part of me like when it comes to politics, we have forgotten as an American people we hold the power.
Sure.
I can vote for you or I can not vote for you. I can start an uprising that says nobody's going to vote for you. Quit taking that money from lobbyists.
You still believe that? I think we're past that point.
Oh, I think we are too. Yeah. We still hold the power. We could still do it. We're just too lazy.
I think if everything was fair, and don't scream at me because I know a lot of people in the industry love Trump. I think if everything was fair, I think this election would be Vivek Ramaswamy against RFK Jr. And I think that square off and that debate would be one of the healthiest things that's ever happened for this.
I think I'd lean more towards Doug Burgum if I was choosing one of the on that side.
Possibly, sure.
But both of those are like, maybe.
And I'll tell you why.
All of them have something crazy about them, which is just weird.
The fact that both Donald Trump, hate him or love him, and Joe Biden have both said, now tactically it's brilliant, okay, but that both the RNC and the DNC is saying it's okay for them to not debate anybody and then be the nominee.
It's nuts, isn't it?
In an electoral system, in a republic, that's allowed. We don't have to hear from you.
I don't think we can do it at the presidential level anymore for whatever weird reason. I haven't quite figured that out, but we can do it at our local level, our state governments and those type of things. I think we still hold the power there.
Local municipalities, for sure.
I don't know who votes for these people. It's crazy for me.
I was on a village board for a few years, and we lost some support, and then I didn't run again, and I had some business things that changed, so I had to leave. But if you are somebody who has an interest and you have a little bit of time, run for city council, run for your village board, do that, and I'll tell you why. It is literally a microcosm for Washington. It's the biggest collection of idiots and jackasses that have nothing to do with their time, and they want to feel important. They want to say, I'm a village president. I'm a board member.
City
council. You're not qualified to work at Dairy Queen, bro. Like please stop telling it. But they're going to do all the central planning. They're going to be the one that had a central planning.
It's like everything else. Hey, there's some responsibility here. The people that should be taking the responsibility are already responsible for something else. They have a business, they have a family, like whatever. They're the actual smart people. It's the ones that have the extra time that don't have that responsible stuff. Yeah, I'll take it.
And everything's a lot more expensive nowadays. You have two parent households that need to work to provide a certain level of income. Yeah, it's scary for sure.
All right. That's enough politics on my show for the whole entire year. Hopefully we didn't lose anybody.
I'm very neutral. I dislike everybody. So
I hate them all. I'll be really clear. I hate them all. Haven't watched the news in 15 years. I get my facts from a different location. That type of, like, I'm just done with
Can I give you a newsletter that I think you'd like?
Is it the 1044 one?
1440.
Yeah, 1440. I had the number wrong. Yeah, we use that one. 1440 and Roca News. Both of those are really good.
100%. Yep. Unbiased, just objective.
All you listeners out there, stop watching that crap you watch on TV. Fox and CNN is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
They're there to get ratings because they get money from advertisers. Get your eyes on it. Ask yourself, why
Big Pharma
am I watching this? Because it makes me mad.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Enough of that.
Yeah,
hey, Zach, it's been a great conversation, man. Thanks for being on the show. Hopefully sometime in the future, we'll get a chance to meet somewhere.
Absolutely.
And maybe crack a beer and talk about how poor our government is.
I don't drink or do anything else, but I'll tell you this, I will definitely hang out with you. But hey, real quick.
Sounds good. I'll crack a beer. You have a water.
Yeah, absolutely. A seltzer. Real quick. If anybody has any questions or wants to get a hold of us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
TD, as in Tom David, tdgroup.us. tdgroup.us.
.us.
That's our website, or claims is how you can get a hold of me directly. Claims plural at tdgroup.us. If you have, and guys, contractors, I have contractors that call me all the time. We FaceTime. They go, what do you think this looks like? And I go, that's not damage, or it is damage. Feel free to send me an email if you have any questions, or reach out to us any other way.
Yeah, so hey, if I was looking for somebody that seems like they've kind of seen it all and sees it from all sides of the equation, reach out to Zach here with TD Group. the David Group, and you're probably in pretty good hands.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us, Jim.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Appreciate
All
it.
right, man. Take it easy.
All right, everybody. That went a little longer than what I thought it was going to, but it was a great conversation. You can probably, if you don't like politics, don't have to listen to the last 10 minutes or so. But everything else, pretty solid, like some wisdom there of like the different approaches, having an attack plan, getting people involved that are experts. Things have changed in our world. It's not simply just go out, meet an adjuster, and get everything approved like it used to be. It's getting more and more complicated. I do believe that that's intentional. Because the more complicated it is, the more likely you are to give up. Don't give up on your homeowners. Get the experts involved, have them give you a hand, take care of these consumers that sometimes aren't even willing to take care of themselves. That's what we do, care for other people. If you're trying to grow your business, trying to get better at what you do, check us out at contractorcoachpro.com. Click on that assessment button. Take a quick assessment, take you 15, 20 minutes. If you can't take 15 or 20 minutes on your business, you probably shouldn't be growing your business. But if you're willing to take that 15 to 20 minutes, we are willing to meet with you online, give you the 2 or 3 things you should be working on right now and prioritizing to grow your business. If you like that coaching and want to work with us, we'd love to have you. If not, at least we served you well that day and helped you grow your business a little bit more. It's all about moving the needle a little bit. We're here to help you move that needle. And we will see you on the next episode of Contractor Radio.